I practice labor and employment law at Baker and McKenzie. Baker and McKenzie is one of the first global firms. I've been with the firm for about 7 years now. I've practiced labor and employment my entire career, originally on the union side and plaintiff side, and made my way over to management a number of years ago when I joined Baker and McKenzie. I came to the area somewhat unexpectedly. I articled at a firm that was full service, wasn't entirely sure where my interests lay. I'd taken a course on labor and employment, found it to be quite interesting, and the firm happened to have a very active union side labor practice. And I got sucked into it. I really enjoyed it. I realized this was an area of practice that really had a profound impact on people's lives and has a profound impact on how a business runs. Human resources really are, for most businesses, their most important resource, and I wanted to be part of the solution. And so that's how I came to it. I think that the advice that I give my clients is commercially pragmatic. A lot of our clients are very quick to say that the reason they enjoy working with me or with our firm is that we're really focused on the end results. Our clients want to get from point A to point B, and they're looking to us to get them there, not to put up a whole lot of roadblocks. But I also sometimes have to remind my clients that ultimately as external counsel, I see my role as threefold. I'm here to flag risk for you. I'm here to tell you what the likelihood the risk will come to pass. And I'm here to tell you how much it's going to cost you if it does. And armed with that information and with the knowledge of your business and what your goals and aspirations are as a business, you now have the information you need to make an informed business decision. I'm happy to weigh in on that, as long as my clients understand that I'm doing it based on my knowledge of the risk, not necessarily on my knowledge of their risk tolerance. My experience, I think, is somewhat unique for a labor and employment practitioner in Toronto, and I think it's as a result of the nature of the firm, Baker and McKenzie. I work very, very closely with a number of my colleagues in different offices. I happen to have fallen into the role of doing a lot of the coordination on large international projects. So when we're dealing with mergers and acquisitions, spin-offs, all sorts of large corporate transactions, not surprisingly, there are going to be a lot of employees affected across a number of jurisdictions. Our clients aren't looking to work with 100 different lawyers in 100 different jurisdictions. And so we develop a core team that interfaces directly with the client, interfaces directly with local counsel, and then distills that advice in a way that's practical for our clients. So we're sort of not just the interface, we're also the gatekeepers of what gets to the client and make an analysis of where the important information is and what kind of information should be relayed to the client in order for them to make the right decision for themselves. I've been involved with a community organization here in Toronto called Evas Initiatives for well over 6 years. Evas Initiatives runs 3 youth shelters across Toronto. It's 114 beds. We have about 64 emergency beds in 2 of our shelters, and 50-bed transitional shelter downtown, just outside of Liberty Village. I came to it about 6.5 years ago when I was approached by one of the partners at the firm to whether I'd be interested in providing pro bono advice as well as representation in the grievance arbitration process for the organization. I was happy to do that. About a year into that, I was approached by the board of directors of Evas Initiatives to join. I was quite young at the time and had never had any experience on a board of directors, so it was a really steep learning curve, especially because I was almost immediately appointed as the chair to the Human Resources Committee of the board because the chair had to step down as a result of her career progression. And I've been with the organization ever since, in the last 3 years as the president of the board. Over the course of that time, I've become more and more invested in the organization and the work that we do. I think that homeless and at-risk youth are probably some of the most vulnerable and marginalized people in Toronto. And I recently read a quote by the mayor of New Orleans, in fact, that really spoke to me. When he was talking about violence in New Orleans, he said, "These are our children. If we don't care for them, who will?" And that really resonated with me. And I think that we sometimes lose sight of that and that we really do need to rally as a community around our youth.